friends, this is me, Mehvesh, your host. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, Best Book for You. I hope you all are well and doing great. Today I am back with another video to continue our UCAT test preparation. But before we move towards our practice test questions, I want to tell you about this website which link is given just in front of you on the slide, which is www.bestbookforyou.co.uk. So this is our website on which you can find every best-selling book. And every book is available on the best price. So if you wanted to buy a book for yourself, or you wanted to gift it to your friends or family, you can buy it easily from our website. And if you wanted, you can also visit our website and you can see that you can get more or less on some selected books. So visit our website right now and buy your favorite books. Now, in addition to these books, we also have this product, which is A1 5-star LED handheld shower head with hose and bracket. This is our product, and here at the left side you can see the picture. So you can buy it from amazon.uk by using this keyword. Now I'd like to start with something funny. I heard about this pastor. He found a dead mule on the church grounds. He called the health department. They said they couldn't pick it up without authorization from the mayor. Well, the mayor was known to be rude and hard to get along with. When the pastor called, the mayor didn't disappoint. He started ranting and raving. Finally, he said, "Why did you even call me? Isn't it your job to bury the dead?" The pastor asked God for the right response. He said, "Yes, Mayor, it is my job to bury the dead, but I always like to notify the next of kin first." Okay, now we're going to continue our practice test questions. Today we're going to start the quantitative reasoning subtest section. We have completed our two sections. So today we're going to start from the quantitative reasoning. So use this question bank to familiarize yourself with the types of questions in this subtest. Before using this question bank, we recommend you work through the relevant question tutorial, as it includes in-depth tips and strategies on how to approach and answer each of the different question types within this subtest. Question tutorials are available on the preparation resources section of the website. Each question bank contains a large number of questions split into sections so that you may wish to attempt over several practice sessions. The navigator function at the bottom right of the screen allows you to navigate between questions and sections within the bank. Your progress through the question bank is not retained for future visits. It is therefore advisable to make a note of which questions you have attempted. As you progress through each question, you can click Explain Answer at the top left of the screen to the correct answer and read the answer rational. An alternative way to check your answers is to use the navigator to skip to the final question. Then click Next to proceed to the review screen. The review screen will show which questions are answered incorrectly. You may click on a question number to return directly to its location in the bank, where you can check the correct answer and rational by clicking Explain Answer at the top of the screen. Now click Next button when you are ready to begin. So here they are asking that if you are ready to begin the exam, so we'll select the Yes button, otherwise select the No button to return to the previous screen. So that's why we will press Yes. Okay, now we have quantitative reasoning practice questions. This question bank contains question bank section 1, that is quantitative reasoning. Then question bank section 2, which is quantitative reasoning. Question bank section 3, quantitative reasoning. Question bank section 4, quantitative reasoning. Now the navigator function at the bottom right of the screen allows you to navigate between questions and sections within the bank. The quantitative reasoning subtest assesses your ability to use numerical skills to solve problems. Questions are less to do with numerical facility and more to do with problem solving. You are presented with questions that most often refer to charts and graphs containing data. Most questions are shown as sets of 4 questions, each connected to the same data. There are some questions that stand alone and do not share data. Each question has 5 answer options. You are only able to select one response. An on-screen calculator is available to assist you with this subtest. You can access this by clicking on the button at the top left of the screen. The calculator can be operated by using the mouse or the number pad on the keyboard. The calculator opens in a separate window to the test screen. If you click off the calculator window back to the test screen or use a keyboard shortcut, for example Alt+F to flag for review, the calculator will not function until you click back on it. Now here we have some troubleshooting tips that ensure that numlog is on for the number pad to work. Most calculator issues can be resolved by clicking the on or C button or closing the calculator and relaunching. If you are setting your test at a test center, you will be given a laminated notebook A4 in size and a pen for making notes. Okay, so we are going to start from the section 1, quantitative reasoning. So you are presented with questions that most often refers to charts and graphs containing data. Most questions are shown as sets of 4 questions, each connected to the same data. There are some questions that stand alone and do not share data. Each questions have 5 answer options. You are only able to select one response. Okay, so in the section 1, there are questions are given to you in the form of some charts or graphs, or some questions are just stand alone, that there is no any data in form of charts or graphs. It's just a stand alone question that asked. And each question have 5 options, but you have to select only the one correct option. Okay, now here we have this first question. We have given a paragraph, you can see a table with some information, and by using this information we have to conclude our right option. Okay, so let's see. So here we have given voting estimates for our constituency 2016 and 2020. First we have electorate, people entitled to vote if they wish to do so. In 2016 they are total 81,651. In 2020, 85,466 are the people who are entitled to vote if they wish to do so. Okay, next we have the second one, that number of people who died or moved outside the constituency between 2016 and 2020. So there were no number given. Then next we have new young voters, or people who moved into the constituency between 2016 and 2020. So in 2016 we don't have any data. In 2020 we have more than 13,299. Okay, next we have turnout people who voted. 2016 no one, and 2020 59,528. Turnout rounded as percent of electorate. So here we have 67.6%, and there we don't have any data. Then we have Purple Party, which is in 2016 23,033, means 23,033. In 2020 it is 25,191. Blue Party 501 only in 2016, and no candidate in 2020. Then we have Green Party 7,753 in 2016, and then 7,132 in 2020. Then we have Yellow Party. In 2016 it is 22,798, and in 2020 it is 25,764. Orange Party 1,140 in 2016, 1,441 in 2020. Okay, so majority we have all this information. Now we're going to use it to conclude our options. Okay, so here we have that calculate the number of people who voted in the constituency of in 2016. Okay, now we have to calculate the number of people. So first we have option A, which is 31,287. Option B, 45,831. Option C, 55,225. Option D, 59,528. So we have these four options with these four number of peoples. So we will see which one is the right option. So option C is the correct response, as the total number of people who voted, that is number of voters for the purple party, blue party, green, yellow and orange. When we add the number of these peoples of these parties, then we have 55,225. So in 2016 we have these parties: the orange party, yellow, green, blue and purple. So in this we are going to calculate these values, and the result we have is the option C, which is 55,225. This is the correct response. Okay, next question. Okay, again we have the same data. You can take a look at this one again. Same data we have given, but the question is different, which is calculate the number of people who died or moved outside the constituency between 2016 and 2020. So we have option A, 4,303. Option B, 9,484. Option C, 12,639. Option D, 13,787. Option E, 13,797. Okay, so here we have these 5 options, and we have to tell that which one is the correct response. So here we have option B is the correct response, because electorate in 2020 is 85,466, and we will subtract it with electorate in 2016, which is 81,651. So we have it equals to 3,815. New young voters or people who moved into the constituency between 2016 and 2020 equals to 13,299. So we will subtract this value from this one. So we have this number, that is 9,484. Okay, so here we calculate. How we calculate it? Here we have total electorate of 2020, and we will subtract this electorate in 2016 from this one, and then we have the resulting number, and we subtract the resulting amount from this value, because they asked about the new young voters. They also asked about the who died or moved outside the constituency, but no value is given in this section, so that's why we don't calculate it. So that's why we have the right option, which is option B. 9,484 are the number of people who died or moved outside the constituency between 2016 and 2020. Okay, next, again we have the same information in the same data. As you can take a look again at this table. or chart you can say. And we have the question is, calculate the percentage of people who voted turnout in the constituency in 2020. Okay, so here we have the percentage of turnout in 2016, but no percentage is given in the 2020. So we have to calculate this percentage. In options we have option A 37.82%, option B 38.72%, option C 42.32%, option D 43.28%, and then we have option E, which is 69.65%. So here we have given the 5 options. So option E is the correct response. The percentage turnout is turnout 59,528 divided by the total electorate, that is 85,466, and when we want to get a percentage we will multiply it by 100. So we have the resulting percentage is the 69.65%. Okay, so here we have if we look towards the okay, so here we don't have any percentage given for the 2020, but we have some turnout people who voted in 2020. Number of people are given, which is 59,528. So we will divide this amount with this one and multiply by 100, and then we will get this answer, which is option E. 69.65% are the percentage of people who voted in the constituency in 2020. Okay, next question is, what percentage of the votes cast did the Purple Party receive in 2020? Option A 28.21%, option B 29.47%, option C 38.69%, option D 42.32%, option E 45.62%. So here we have given 5 options and we have to calculate the percentage of the votes that are cast the Purple Party received in 2020. So here we have this Purple Party. So in 2020 we have this value, which is 25,191. So we will divide it with the total number, and then we have the okay, so here we have option D is the correct response, because percentage of Purple Party votes equals to, we have the number of Purple Party votes, that is 25,191, divided by turnout, that is 59,528, multiplied by 100, which is equals to 42.32%. So here we have, as I told you, the Purple Party in 2020 received 25,191 votes, and we will divide it by this turnout amount in 2020. Then we will multiply it by 100 and we will get the option D, which is 42.32%. So option D is the correct response. Okay, So next we have this passage. A study of podcasts of different lengths shows a relationship between podcast length and the length of advertisements during the podcast. The length of the advertisements in a podcast is a percentage of the length of the podcast, as shown in the graph. The podcasts in the study are divided into 4 categories based on their lengths. The shortest podcast in the study is 12 minutes long, and the longest podcast is 75 minutes long. Okay, so here we have this information is given in the form of chart. We have the percentage of podcast length spent on advertisements. So these numbers are given in an even number: 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, so on. And then we have the podcast length in minutes. Okay, so the question is that how much longer is the length of advertisement in a 28-minute podcast than in a 24-minute podcast? Option A, 4 seconds. Option B, 24 seconds. Option C, 28 seconds. Option D, 40 seconds. And option E, 56 seconds. Okay. So option B is the correct response because both podcast lengths fall into the same category. That is 0.1 into 28 minus 24 equals to 0.4 minutes. So we will multiply the 0.4 with 60 seconds, which is equals to 24 seconds. So that's why we have the correct response is the option B, which is 24 seconds is the length of the advertisement in a 28-minute podcast than in a 24-minute podcast. Okay. Next we have the question. We have the same passage and the same data in the form of a chart. We have a question is different, which is the length of advertisement in a podcast is 3.6 minutes. Now they have given the length and we have to calculate the time. So how long is the podcast? Option A, 20 minutes. Option B, 36 minutes. Option C, 40 minutes. Option D, 45 minutes. Option E, 72 minutes. So here we have given 5 options and we have to select the one correct response. So we have the correct response is option D. To find the category, 0.1 multiplied by 30, that is the maximum length of the category, rounded up for ease of calculation, which is equals to 3 minutes. So it cannot be in the second category. 0.08 multiplied by 60 equals to 4.8 minutes. So it belongs to the third category with an advertisement percentage of 8% of podcast length. Let I be the podcast length. So 0.08i equals to 3.6 minutes. So 3.6 is divided by 0.08 and we have the answer is 45 minutes. So because of these reason, this calculation, we have the right option is option D, which is 45 minutes. So 45 minutes are the length of are the so 45 minutes long is the podcast when the length of advertisement time in a podcast is 3.6 minutes. Okay, next we have the question, which is how much time is spent on advertisements in a podcast that it is 30 minutes long. Option A 2.4 minutes. Option B 2.5 minutes. Option C 2.7 minutes. Option D 2.8 minutes. And option E 3 minutes. Okay, so correct response is option A, as 8% of the podcast length is spent on advertisement in this category. Advertisement time equals to 0.08 multiplied by 30 equals to 2.4 minutes. So we have the option A is the correct response, which is the 2.4 minutes. So here you can see the 2.4 minutes is the time which is spent on advertisements in a podcast that is 30 minutes long. Next we have a question, which is how much greater is the length of advertisements in the longest podcast in the study than the length of advertisements in the shortest podcast in the study. Option A 1.59 minutes. Option B 2.16 minutes. Option C 3.22 minutes. Option D 11.34 minutes. Option E 12.9 minutes. Okay, so correct response is option A. Ad length in the longest podcast equals to 5% of 75. Ad length in the shortest podcast, which is 18% of 12. So the difference we will calculate by 0.05 multiplied by 75 and 0.18 multiplied by 12 equals to 3.75 minus 2.16, which is equals to 1.59 minutes. So this is the correct answer, option A, which is 1.5 minutes. So 1.5 minutes is the length of advertisements in the longest podcast in the study than the length of advertisements in the shortest podcast in the study. Okay. Next we have the different question with the different information that is given in the table form. First we say that the table shows the total tax paid in dollars on annual taxable income. Okay, so here we have this information. First we have annual taxable income bracket, then we have tax rate, then we have the total tax paid in dollars at the top of this taxable income bracket. So annual taxable 0 to $8,950, which tax rate is 10%, and 895 tax is paid. Then from 8,950 to $36,250, tax rate is 15%. So it will 4,990 is the amount that will pay total in form of tax. From 36,250 to 87,850 is the income bracket in dollars. So we will have 25% tax rate, 17,890 total tax paid. From 87,850 to 1,83,250 is the annual taxable income bracket, and the tax rate is 28% on this amount. So 44,602 is the total tax paid in dollars at the top of this taxable income bracket. Next, 1,83,250 to 4 lakhs, which is 33% tax rate, and the 1,16,129 is the total tax paid. 4 lakh and over, we have the 39.6% tax rate. So here we have all this information given in this table, and then we have a question. For example, a person with an annual taxable income of $60,000 will pay $4,990 plus 25% of $60,000 minus $36,250. Bill has an annual taxable income of $28,950. To the nearest dollar income tax he has to pay is option A, 2,895, option B, 3,895, option C, $4,342, option D, $4,510, option E, $5,237. So here we have the correct response is the option B, that Bill pays $895 on his first $8,950. Remaining taxable income is $28,950 minus $8,950. So the amount which remains is the $20,000, and the 15% tax on this amount is equals to $3,000. That's why we have the correct option is the option B, which is nearest to the 3,000, and it is 3,895 is the nearest dollar the income tax he has to pay. Next, we have given the same information in the same table, this one, You can take a look at this table once again. And then we have a question which is an example is given, then we will conclude the answer. For example, a person with an annual taxable income of $60,000 will pay $4,990 plus 25% of $60,000 minus $36,250. Corey has an actual annual taxable income equivalent to $2,500 per month. She wants to save enough money each month to pay her tax for the year. So the minimum amount to the nearest dollar that Corey has to save each month is option A $250, option B $263, option C $338, option D $341, option E $375. So here we have the correct response is option C. Annual taxable income, that is monthly taxable income, which is $2,500 and multiply by months and the year, which is 12. So it is equals to $30,000. Amount of tax on the annual taxable income, that is $895 on the first $8,950 remaining taxable income, that is $8,915 are subtracted from the 30,000, so it will remain only $21,050. And when we have a 15% tax on this amount, so the amount remain is the $3,157.50. So the total tax that is taxed from lowest tax bracket, $895 plus tax $3,157 is equals to $4,052. Total amount to save every month to pay yearly tax. Total tax, that is $4,052 divided by months in the year, which are 12, is equals to $338 to the nearest dollar. So because of all these calculations, we have the right option is option C, which is $338 has to save by Corey to the nearest dollar. Okay, next we have the same data in the same table, but we have another example. For example, a person with an annual taxable income of $60,000 will pay $4,990 plus 25% of $60,000 minus $36,250. Umar has a taxable income of $36,250 per year. So what percentage correct to one decimal place of his taxable income does Umar pay in tax? First we have option A 11.3%, option B 12.5%, option C 13.8%, option D 15.0%, and option E 16.0%. So option C is the correct response. The second row of the table explains that the total tax paid at the top of this taxable income bracket is $4,990. Umar's taxable income of $36,250 is at the top of this income bracket. Now 4,990 as a percentage of Umar's taxable income. So we will divide this amount by 36,250 and multiply it by 100, which is 30.8% correct to one decimal place. So we have the correct option is the option C, that is 13.8% is the percentage correct to one decimal place of his taxable income that Umar has to pay in tax. Okay, next we have the same data or same table information, and the example is that a person with an annual taxable income of $60,000 will pay $4,990 plus 25% of tax on $60,000 minus $36,250. The values at the bottom end points and at the top end points of each income tax bracket are going to be increased by 10%. What will be the change in income to the nearest dollar after tax has been deducted of a person with a taxable income of $36,250? So we have option A, which is $544 decrease, option B $499 decrease, option C $45 decrease increase, option D $351 increase, option E $5,543 increase. Okay, so here we have these 5 options given and we have to choose the one correct option. So here we have the correct response is the option C, as in the lowest tax bracket $8,950 increases by 10%, which is equals to 9,845. 10% tax of $9,845, which is equals to $984.50. So amount of taxable income remaining is $36,250 minus $9,845, which is equals to $26,405, and 15% tax of $26,405 is equals to $3,960. Total tax is the tax from the lowest tax bracket plus tax from the next tax bracket is equals to $4,945.25. So the highest amount of tax on the old system for an income of 36,250, which is equals to $4,990. Change in income. New amount of tax is the $36,250 minus $4,945.25, which is equals to $31,304.7. Old amount of tax is the 36,250 minus $4,990, which is equals to $31,260. So when we subtract these two values, we will have the $44.74. So this is an increase of $45 to the nearest dollar. So that's why we have the correct option is the option C. $45 increase will be the change in income to the nearest dollar after tax has been deducted of a person with a taxable income $36,250. Okay, next we have another table with different information. So the table shows the viewership of 5 prime time programs on a weekday. Media metrics. First we have a table for program, then we have a column of base audience population, then we have number of audience tuned in through services. First is the network and the second one is the cable. Then we have ratings of audience tuned in through services. First one Cindy's, another one others. So here we have this information. Program 1, 10,500 population, 756 network, 399 audience tuned through cable, 1.6 is the ratings through Cindy's, and 0.5 through others. Then we have program 2, which is 9,400 is the audience population and 611 is the number of audience that tuned through network, and 423 that is tuned through cable, 3 tuned through the services of Cindy's, then we have 1 from the others. So rating is equals to, a formula is given of rating, which is number of audience tuned in divided by audience population multiplied by 100. So the question is, what is the total number of audience who tuned in to program 3? Option A, 1161. Option B, 1350. Option C, 1520. Option D, 1728. Option E, 1844. So here we have these 5 options, and the correct response is the option D, because total number of audience who turned into program 3 is equals to number of audience who tuned in through network services plus number of audience who tuned in through cable services plus number of audience who tuned in through CINDs plus number of audience who tuned in through other networks. And we have the 1728 is the right option. Okay, so here we have all the information given for the program 3 in this table. Here we have this program 3, and we have to add all these amounts, or you can say numbers: 13,500 plus 567 plus 594 plus 2 and plus 2.2. And if you want to remove this decimal, you will going to 2.2 divided by 100, and then you can add all these amounts, and we have the correct answer, which is option D, that is 1728 are the total number of audience who tuned into program 3. Okay, so next we have again the same information given from program 1 to program 5. The question is different, which is approximately 24.8% of the audience who tuned in through the CINDs services for program 2 were female. What number of the audience who tuned in through the CINDs services for program 2 were male? Option A, 70. Option B, 92. Option C, 132. Option D, 168. And option E, 212. So option E is the correct response, as the number of audience who tuned in through the CINDs services for program 2 is equals to rating multiplied by base audience population divided by 100 is equals to 3 multiplied by 9,400 divided by 100 equals to 282. 24.8% of this 282 was female, and the remaining is the, which is 75.2% was male. So number of people or audience who tuned in through the CINDs services for program 2 that were male is equals to 282 multiplied by 0.752, which is equals to 212. So option E is the correct response, 212. So here we had used this formula. Here we have the number of audience tuned in is given in the question, that is 24.8%. That's why we will multiply this to the rating and divide this by 100. We will use this formula, and then we will calculate our answer by this calculation. So we will have the right option, which is 212 are the number of audience of the male who tuned in through the Sydney's services for program 2. Okay, next again we have this information. So the number of, and we have the same formula, but the question is, if about 33.33% of the audience who tuned in to program 1 through the Cindy's services switched to program 4 through the Cindy's, what would be the number of audience who tuned in to program 4 through the Cindy's? Assume the base audience population remains unchanged. Option A 50, option B 90, option C 146, option D 210, option E 434. So option C is the correct response, as the number of audience who tuned in to program 1 through the Cindy's services is equals to rate multiplied by base audience population divided by 100. The same formula that we have used in the last question. Equals to 1.6 multiplied by 10,500 divided by 100. And we have 168 is the answer. Then we have 33.33% of this audience is 56. So the number of audience who tuned in to program 4 through the Cindy's is equal to number of audience who switched to program 4 plus number of audience who tuned in through the Cindy's originally is equals to 56 plus rate multiplied by base population of program 4 by 100 is 56 plus 3.6 multiplied by 2500 divided by 100 equals to 56 plus 90, which is equals to 146. So that's why we have the correct option is the option C, which is 146 is the number of audience who tuned in to program 4 through the Cindy's. Okay, next we have what is the difference in the overall rating of program 2 and that of program 1? Option A 0.25, option B 0.48, option C 1.00, option D 1.62, option E 2.00. So option E is the correct, as the overall rating of each program is the total rating of people who tuned in through network, cable, Cindy's, and others. As the information for Cindy's and others is already presented as our rating, the calculation needs to be made for network and cable services. So here we have program 1 network services rating, which is 756 divided by 10,500 multiplied by 100 equals to 7.2. Then we have program 1 cable services rating, 399 divided by 10,500 multiplied by 100 equals to 3.8. Then we have the overall rating of program 1 is therefore 7.2 plus 3.8 plus 1.6 plus 0.4 equals to 13. So then we have program 2 network services equals to 6.5, program 2 cable services rating equals to 423 divided by 9400 multiplied by 100 equals to 4.5. Then all these numbers which is equals to 15. So the difference between overall rating of the two programs is 15 minus 13, which is equals to 2. So that's why the option E is the correct response. So 2 is the difference in the overall rating of program 2 and that of program 1. Okay, so I hope that is enough for today. We will start our question number 17 in the next video. If you have anything to ask, just feel free to ask in the comment section. And if you like our video, don't forget to press the like button. And if you guys haven't subscribed our channel yet, please subscribe it and don't forget to hit the bell icon. So whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. So I'll be back with another video to continue our practice test questions for UCAT. Till then, just take care and goodbye.